This is the Westinghouse iGen2200 watt generator. I've already removed the back panel, which has 6 Phillips screws in it. I've removed this side panel, which has these 2 screws, one there and one there, and then you pop it off. You might have to pry it with a standard blade screwdriver, and then you pop that off. The next thing is you have 4 screws, 4 Phillips screws here. They alternate sides. So you have to come in this side, and then you have to go on that side to get those out. There are 6 10 mil bolts along the bottom. There's 3 on this side, and then 3 on this side with the pull cord. Then you come around to here, and there are 2 screws here and here that have to be taken out, and 2 screws here and here that have to be taken out on the front. These 2 screws you can leave in, at least for now. There's a tricky thing, and that is that there's a plug that's in your little switch here. Usually it's in there and it's flush. I didn't push it in flush because once you push it in flush, it's almost impossible to get out. You need to take a screw, sort of like this one, and really shove it in there and essentially screw the screw into the rubber and then pull it out like you're pulling a wine cork out. Since I didn't put it in there, I can pull it out. And I thought it was just a little flat piece, but look how long it is. So when that gets shoved down in that hole, and it's a deep hole, you'll see when you pull the thing out, it's very difficult to get out. Turns out that it's hollow. You can see where I've put the screw in there before, and it's not going to keep any less dust out now that it has that hole in it. But you need to do that and then get that screw out of there so that this panel can come off. And so I'm going to do all of that. Oh, and then you have this screw here. Yeah. And then there's a surprise. So there's that C-clip that holds the front end of it, what I call the front end of it, together right there. So you just pop that off. Okay, I've taken out all of the nuts and bolts. Here's a few of them here that I described, and now I'm just going to pry this thing apart. That's one of the reasons I like to take this panel off, is so you have something to grab on, and you just pull and they just come apart. If they don't come apart, look around for other screws and bolts. And I forgot to take one out. I forgot to take the screw out of this thing. So now we're going to take the screw out of this thing, because I forgot to do that. It should not be holding this as a problem, but you never know. Okay, so there we go. Boom. So that side popped off, and then I'll just do the same over here, and I'll pop this side off. You may have to hold on to the gas tank, and I'll show you that in a second, because there's a little piece that gets wedged into the gas tank. Just gonna work them off. Okay, so it's come off. This is the piece right here. Is that in frame? Yeah, so there's this little nub thing that comes out here. There's a rubber piece that goes on it. You need to make sure this rubber piece, which was stuck in the case, gets put back here before you try to put it back together. And that's one of the things that you're wedging out of the gas tank. That's one of the things that holds this together. Because I am going to take out the pull start unit, which is right here with the cord, there are 3 bolts. There's one here. These are 8mm bolts. There's one here. There's one up here where you can't see. And then there's one you have to get to from the other side down near the bottom. They're spaced around at, 120 degrees. Is that what that is? Each. And so in order to do that, I'm going to have to loosen up this front piece, pull that back. And then this assembly here needs to be loosened up from the bottom. There are 6 8mm bolts underneath the generator that you have to undo, including 2 in the front feet here. Okay, so underneath the front end, if you come down under here, you can see some bolts here. So I'm going to take those out, and that will loosen up this assembly right here so it can be moved just a little bit. You don't want to remove it. You just want to move it forward so you can get in behind it to get at those bolts for the pull starter. with those bolts from underneath loosened up, and you can see them right. There's a hole there, and there's a hole back in there. Those were some of the bolts. This front end is kind of loose, and so I can almost get back in there. It's easier if you remove this. You can unclip all of these wires. They each have just one connection they can go to. So you can unclip all of these and undo this ground strap, and then this whole piece will just come right off. So I've detached the wires. The wires are hanging out here, and you'll notice that each one is an individual. There are no two exactly alike. So you should have no problem connecting each one of these with where they're supposed to go. I've also disconnected this one from here, from the motherboard, so that I could bring this side out. And I'm going to disconnect this ground strap here so I can bring this side out, because we still want to get way back in there to that wheel in there to get to those bolts. And you can see it's still really tight. The other thing is I just popped the gas tank up. It's got these two little pokey things that go in those holes. Once you do that, this becomes much more loose and you have room to move it. Okay, now I'm going to take out this bolt right here, 8mm bolt holding in this pull cord assembly. There's one up on top. I don't know if you can see it in there. It's way back in there. And then there's one down at the bottom that you absolutely can't see, way in there. It's underneath. So I'm going to take those three out, and then I can pull out the puller assembly, the starter pull assembly. Here is the pull assembly. So I got this out. You can see the silvered holes that would hold the bolts. So there's three of them. There's 6 holes, but only 3 of them have little silver grommets in them. Those are where the bolts actually are. And so now I have to tighten it up. I didn't tighten it up enough when I put it in the first time. So I got to tighten it up a little bit, and then I'll put it back in and put this thing back together. So in assembly, I recommend the first thing you do is connect up all the electronics. Get all of that stuff back together carefully. Make sure all of the little pieces are fully inserted carefully. Get this panel back on, put this in so you can turn it on or off, and get it to the point where it's stable like this. And then take it outside and try to start it. Make sure you've got everything connected right so that it starts before you go ahead and put all the skin back on. Once you're sure it starts, because mine did and I was so excited about that, then you put all the skins back on. In the assembly process, one of the most critical things you need to do, and I always put this panel on, the one that has the pull thing through it, is to get this to go into there, because it's very difficult to see. So I've tied a shoelace to my pull string so that I can pull it through the hole. And now I'm going to try to line these up and feel it go in. You'll feel kind of a dull snap when it goes in. Here's the Westinghouse iGen2200 generator finished. So we're gonna turn it to choke. I'm gonna put this on. Oh, nice. So there was some vacuum in there. And it's all complete, all put back together. It's kind of dark out here, but you can see I got all the sides back on. Okay, and something I've discovered about this, the reason I had to take it apart in the first place, is that the cord had frayed. And if you look down at the hole, what you really want to do is pull it almost straight up so the cord is not rubbing on the edges of the hole. Yeah, see, right there is the angle where it's not rubbing on anything. And so that's what you want to do, is find that angle where the cord's not rubbing on anything and then pull up with that. Let's see. Started on second pull.